What's up, everybody? It's your boy Milza here, back with another video, and today I think we're going to be watching a video that I saw come through my feed, and it's basically talking about the invoice system that I guess is being used through in Japan and it's being used through like animators and voice actors and VTubers for some reason. Looked interesting. I'm a huge anime fan, and I was like, I wonder what this is about. So we're gonna watch it, react to it. If it's what I think it's about, which is probably like just poor rules and work conditions in Japan, then yeah, it's probably not gonna be good. But either way, before we start the video, I'd just like to ask everybody to please like, subscribe, and comment if you haven't already. But other than that, let's get into the video.
Japan might have just killed anime.
Help us to save manga, Japanese animation, Japanese pop culture, Japanese traditions and technology.
That's Terumi Nishi, a famous anime industry veteran. You might have seen their works in shows from Jujutsu Kaisen to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. She's protesting against a new change in Japan that affects 5 million people and could destroy the entire anime industry.
It is as if they're trying to brainwash the Japanese people.
And they don't want you to know about it. There are two major problems here. So one, it's taxes, no one likes them, and two, it will post your personal information online, which would be a big problem if you know how it is with things like...
Wait, so they're gonna dox people on purpose? Okay. I mean, taxes, sure, but doxing people? Okay.
Anime or VTuber fans.
Your information is made public online, including your real name, raising serious privacy and security concerns.
At least that's what people are saying. But it turns out this is wrong. But there's actually a hidden third problem that could cripple the anime industry. In October 2023, Japan implemented the invoice system. This is a new change in how taxes are handled that affects freelancers. And unfortunately, the anime industry is filled with freelancers. The general opinion is, well, just listen to this. That's Kotono Mitsuishi, the voice of Usagi-chan, known worldwide as Sailor Moon. The invoice system is so dangerous that even the biggest voices, literally and figuratively, are speaking out against it. But it's not just the voice actors. Animators and every single aspect of the anime production pipeline will not escape. So despite how many times I've seen this, I've never really understood it. If you've seen people talk about this before and still don't know what the big deal is, don't worry. Even anime industry experts who are literally talking about this don't know exactly what's going on. To get a clearer picture, I went to look at some non-anime sources, and what I found was surprising. No one was talking about one of the big problems, the anonymity issue. You see, a lot of anime fans are concerned about the invoice system because many animators prefer to be anonymous for their own reasons. We all know fans can be quite crazy. Look no further than VTubers, idols, etc. But turns out only anime fans are talking about this because, like anime, this is fiction, aka it's not real. Somewhere along the line, someone thought that everyone was going to have their personal info publicized in some searchable database, and this misinformation spread around in the anime community. Fortunately, the invoice system will actually delete your private information so that the public will not be able to see it. So your location and name will be kept safe. It is funny to me and honestly kind of sad that
this whole thing is a misunderstanding of what the actual change was going to be. Okay, I'm thinking like they're going to actually dox these people, but that would be borderline illegal. I could see some reasoning for why you'd want people's personal info out there, but then it's also like regular people are too weird anyway for you to have someone's personal information out, especially if it's like, I don't know, like Hatsune Miku or somebody like that, and it's like some weirdo like stalking the voice actor for her in one of the games. Like, I don't think that'd be good, but this already seems like it may not be that serious, so I don't know.
this was updated just in 2020, a few years before this, so who knows how bad it was before then. But despite this, the Japanese government doesn't have the best track record with private data. But then again, I live in America, so I can't really be the judge, because your data is never safe here. Whether it's private government, military documents, all it takes is a Discord server, or something as simple as your anime subscription, Crunchyroll. Now this is where a big YouTuber would have a sponsorship for a VPN, but really, the ones sponsoring YouTubers are not encrypted enough. Even though data is kept private, freelancers are still angry. If it ain't broke, why fix it? Why is Japan doing this now? First, you need to understand tax deductions. If you don't pay taxes yet, I'll make this super simple to understand. And I'm pretty sure like half of you don't pay taxes. So check out this graphic. Instead of wholesaler, imagine it's the animator, and replace the e-commerce website with a studio, let's say Mappa, and the shopper, that's Crunchyroll, or one of the many people buying Blu-rays. The one buying the anime has to pay taxes because Mappa needs to pay taxes to Japan. So the shopper has to pay an extra 500 yen for tax. Mappa is also a shopper though. They shop for the services from freelance animators, so they'll have to pay 200 yen additional tax for that. But they can actually deduct this from their final tax bill. In this case, Mappa will only have to pay 300 yen total instead of 500. As you can see, this is beneficial to Mappa and any other business. Perhaps a bit too beneficial, because things were not being recorded properly and companies may have gotten away with too much. I mean, just ask Studio Ufotable. Demon Slayer, more like tax of a... Okay, that's not funny. To prevent fraud...
But the thing is though, like every company's doing getting some type of tax benefit or tax write-off or whatever that could be considered evasion to some degree. So I don't think they're doing anything that we haven't seen, especially if you're American, right? Like this is pretty much the land of doing things like that. So I don't know. I mean, is that really bad? I mean, I guess the way I would see it being bad is if you have like the voice actors pretty much not getting paid enough or not getting paid at all, even though they're making these type of cuts, which is what I'm hoping is the issue here. Well, not hoping because I don't want that to happen to them, but like hoping that that's like there's some actual problem here besides just typical, like business garbage that happens. But I mean, yeah, they probably learned from us, honestly. They probably learned from Americans that this is the best way, if I'm going to be completely honest.
Business transactions should be recorded with a qualified invoice. That's the invoice system. Sounds good, right? Yay, no more legal loopholes. The corpo's finally gonna pay. Well, turns out there are unintended side effects for our favorite medium of entertainment. To issue these qualified invoices, these freelancers have to become a registered business, and by doing so, they'll basically be paying 10% more tax. Now, 10% might not seem like a lot, but keep in mind, everyone in anime is living.
So basically, the invoice system would put all of the brunt of the legal filing as far as like tax goes onto the person providing the service and not the business itself. Because by making that person their own like LLC, then they have to pay taxes that they would they'll have to pay taxes on the money that they're getting on top of whatever else they were getting, because they're gonna have to pay taxes on their business and then pay taxes on their income, which is kind of messed up, to be honest. Like that's pretty messed up. So really and truthfully, this actually is kind of annoying, because that's like, in layman terms, if you have like a job and say you work at McDonald's, that would mean that you would pay your own tax as an individual contributor to McDonald's, and then McDonald's would also be charging you like federal income tax or something out of your check. So instead of you paying like 5% of your check, now you're paying 10% because you count as an individual liaison, which is like kind of insane that that's illegal, because you're just expecting everybody to just hop up and get an EIN number and all. Well, I don't know what they call it in Japan. It may be, it honestly is probably a simpler process over there than it is here, but I don't know. That just seems kind of predatory. And it's obviously trying to push the brunt of the financial burden onto the voice actor or creator, whoever they are, which is messed up. I don't like that.
Living paycheck to paycheck. This will be a shocking change to most animators because before this, they actually paid 0% on this tax. They were tax exempt. Anyone
Yeah, they
making
should
under
be.
10 million Japanese yen, I think that's around 60,000 USD, was not required to pay these taxes. Actually, they still aren't required. But guess who wants their tax deduction? It's
Yep,
MAPPA.
the
So even
business. Of
though
course
it's
they want their
optional,
tax deduction.
studios will want animators to use the invoice system so that way the studio can pay less taxes.
Exactly.
If these Japanese consumption taxes sound familiar, it's because it is. It's similar to the value-added tax in places like the EU. As part of the invoice system, Japan will actually be joining a standardized network called PEPL with near 1 million companies and 32 countries. So in a way, they're actually modernizing. I just use MAPPA as an example, but who really wants to pay more taxes? You'd be a fool to think anime studios are gonna pay more tax. There will be pressure to use this system so companies can save money. Voice actor Yuko Kaida, whose voice you may hear in the latest Spy Family, states that they will be forced to make a hellish choice. If they issue invoices, they will be taxed and their income will decrease, and if they do not issue invoices, their work.
Yeah, it isn't like the Japanese yen right now the lowest value it's ever been. I swear I've seen news stories about that. I'll have to like look into it more. I don't want to say anything like solidly online, but I'm pretty sure the Japanese yen isn't doing very good right now. This is like having your legs cut under you in an already really bad economy. But that's the problem with like businesses in most countries, that they just get so much leeway with shit like this, because at the end of the day, like, they're either benefiting the local government or federal government in some way by existing. So like, you versus them is always usually not gonna go your way unless there's some, constitutional or civil right that they're violating that you can, exhibit in some court of law. But then again, I don't know how the Japanese legal system works. In the Japanese legal system, this could be something that is totally fair and expected of the Japanese worker to submit to the demands of their employer. I don't know.
Will be reduced, or worse, fired, blacklisted from the studio or the whole anime industry. But even if they are allowed to keep working, they might not be able to last long. The extra 10% tax is enough that 27% of voice actors will be forced to go out of business.
Damn.
In other words, either their careers will be instantly killed, or they will bleed out, dying a slow death. And if you survive, you'll have to learn to survive with a lot less, because 77% believe that their income will decrease.
Yeah,
So
it
if
will
27%
decrease.
out of business and 77% earning less, that's a total of 99% of surveyed voice actors negatively impacted by this tax. Why would a company
Yikes.
hire you if it meant that now they need to pay more taxes? You'd rather hire the person who is using the invoice system. Now, ironically enough, some companies like MAPPA will increase salaries to make up for this burden. But that's not the case for everyone. So what's the poor anime worker to do?
Yeah, like, so Mappa's on like a generational run right now, and so is like a company like Ufotable, right? Like, they've got these animes that are doing really well. But like, if you're working for a smaller studio, I mean, like, what's to say that they wouldn't just bar you for a, like, slightly less talented actor, because that person was willing to do the thing that you didn't want to do, which was essentially undercut you. So, I mean, I don't know. That just seems kind of ridiculous that they would even do that. But I mean, I guess the global economy really is hurting. Like, people like to say, oh, like the American economy is so bad right now. I think the global economy in general is pretty bad. And maybe it's just like every shareholder on the planet, especially in Japan, just trying to make ends meet. I don't know, but that doesn't justify undercutting your talent for the sake of, maybe staying a little bit more green than normal. I don't know. Like, I feel like at some point profit should not outweigh the quality of the product you're making.
2. Animator Dong Chang says that freelancers should request higher pay to make up for the tax. But it might not be that easy. If you didn't know, Dong Chang is a Canadian working in Japan. He also has a YouTube channel, so might check that out. For those born and raised in Japan, asking for a raise is not something that they may do. Japanese
Yeah, they're
culture is known to be
extremely
very
polite
top-down,
culture.
seniority-driven, and so everyone conforms, especially if you're an average freelancer. Typically, the Japanese don't like to ask for raises, as it sets them apart from the overall system. Japan's culture of conformity leaves quite a muted response to this issue by the general public, but you can always count on the foreigners to be more outspoken about things. These English teachers are gathered under their union to protest the invoice system. Their company, GABA, has forced them to use the new invoices and thus take on additional taxes. In addition, they are demanding higher wages. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like anyone is listening. But what's worse is that unlike the teachers, the anime industry does not have unions. There are movements to stop the invoice system, but so far nothing has worked. That's why frustrated Japanese have turned to the hashtag #SaveMangaAnime in hopes that us anime-loving foreigners will bring more attention to it. Despite all their efforts, like gathering over 500,000 signatures for a petition, the Prime Minister Kishida is not reconsidering this change. So what's the future gonna look like for us anime fans all over the world?
First off, this guy's an asshole, right? Like I just don't get why you would expect anybody to incur a personal tax, essentially for doing business with you, to offload the tax burden from you onto them. And then they have to basically be slapped in the face, then ask you for a wage that you were going to then take the tax benefit off of by deducting it from, your taxes as employee wages. And it all gets that's not even a fair sided agreement. So you lose money, but you still got a job. Come on. Like, what?
Here's what I think. According to the data, 30% of anime workers will go out of business. If this happens, the effects will be catastrophic. 30% less people making anime means at the very least, 30% less anime to watch. Now, I know, that might sound like a good thing, because of all the pig isekai and vending machine isekais we got. It might be time for a purge, because if anime was in a bubble, this is definitely gonna pop it. It's no secret that every anime production is hanging by a thread. Freelancers are useful to anime studios because they are just flexible. Running out of time before the next episode airs? No problem, just hire a couple freelancers to patch up the holes in your production. They aren't full-fledged employees, so you don't need to worry about an annual salary or benefits such as health insurance. And now with less freelancers, these flaws are going to be seen, even by the most blind eyes. In order to adapt, anime studios are going to have to do a better job creating good work environments for their staff. But who are we kidding here? They never learn, and I doubt they ever will. Just look at MAPPA after Chainsaw Man and now Jujutsu Kaisen. But even if they wanted to fix their crappy schedules, they have a new enemy to deal with. Technology. You need to understand, Japanese companies are filled with boomers, and the anime industry is no exception. In an interview with Studio Trigger, it was revealed that it was common to email around Microsoft Word documents and Excel spreadsheets. This was high tech.
What?
No longer did they have to send flash drives with the carrier pigeon. With this workflow, one employee is able to write a paragraph and then send it over to the next.
Flash drives in 2024? Like, how are they collaborating on different scenes? Is there no global connectivity that everybody's able to use? You have to email your scenes instead of working up through the same file? Like, what? Okay. It's crazy how people can be so smart and then so unintelligent at the same time. Like, what are you doing? You're trying to bite the hand that feeds while also already needing just insane vast improvement. Okay. I'm not Japanese, so I can't judge, but I think this just really has to do with their overall work culture of pretty much working people to death, and work is life, and all of your earthly accomplishments are the only thing that make you you. I don't know. That's the only way I could see this happening anywhere, is if that is the general belief amongst most people, which I personally think it shouldn't be. But again, I'm not Japanese.
person to write the rest. It's the future. But things change after the pandemic. They hit gold. They discovered the cloud. Now with the power of Google Drive, they can keep one file in sync for the whole
Jesus,
company. Talk
finally.
about progress. Oh my god, just imagine when they
Wow.
discover like Google Docs or just use Microsoft 365. Nah, you telling me you can edit the same document with multiple people at the same time? Ain't no way, bro. And this is where the invoice system will hit them by surprise. Deloitte, one of the biggest accounting companies in the world, states there is a risk that businesses underestimate the scale of the work involved by either implementing or adapting IT systems or renewing business contracts because they are mistakenly assuming that this is a tax issue and not a business transformation issue. Some businesses may, for example, require IT enhancements and upgrades.
Yeah, that's the thing too, right? For the invoice system, like that's going to be a lot of resources just strictly being dedicated to, managing and filing all that stuff. Because I mean, I don't know if it's different in Japan, like consequences. Sorry, if the consequences of not doing your taxes properly are the same as they are in the United States or similar, then they vastly underestimated how much like extra bandwidth they're going to need and extra, third party resources they're going to need just to like, this is a whole HR department on its own of filing freelanced people's, invoices so that they can be properly double taxed, which is, I don't know, like that just seems like more trouble than it's worth for a few extra bucks. Now, would they do it? Yeah. But then it's like you also got to pay other people to do this. I mean, you'd be better off just leaving it alone and just letting the people, the freelancers, have their say about, how they want to be integrated into that work environment. But I don't know. That just seems kind of like uncharacteristically intelligent for Japanese people who are known to have, lots of technology and be extremely advanced as far as most other things go. But they seem to be in the dark ages with this whole system. I don't see who could possibly be running things and think that this makes sense.
Knowing the anime industry, they will 100% underestimate the scale of this work. If they keep underestimating the time it takes to make an anime to the point where they just get delayed forever, then just imagine the technical difficulties they'll face when they use new software for these invoices. Even if the number of anime decreases, us anime fans might see the quality decreasing. And we might even hear the quality decreasing too. Voice actress Yuko Kaida mentions that voice actors spend their free time and money on voice lessons. All the voices you love to hear were a result of hard
Voice
practice,
lessons.
and now with more to worry about, they won't have as much time or money to keep improving their skills, because instead of going to lessons, they might need to go to the accountant. Now, I don't know about you guys, but in general, I prefer Japanese dub voices more than English. Some might account it to the Japan place meme, but I've personally never met a Japanese American that prefers English dub. I'm just saying, I really think voice acting in Japan is just treated more seriously. I mean, they got this whole like seiyuu culture.
I mean, yeah, that's true, right? But it's really more about like it's something written in their language, so the delivery is going to be more authentic, no matter how you slice it. Now, I'm not saying that like American voice actor, for example, like Goku's voice actor is probably one of the few major cases where most people would agree like Goku's voice actor is 100% the best voice for that character. Like you hear that voice and you immediately think that's Goku. Like you're like, that's Goku 100%. The kind of squeaky other Japanese dub voice, like shout out to them for like doing it. But I know for most people that like American voice of Goku is iconic. Forget the guy's name, but yeah, it's like, I don't know. I really think that some dubs are good, but most of the Japanese dubs are the best just because of it's written in their language. It sounds authentic. It feels more authentic because the words mean something more to them than they would an American person just reading the lines of a manga, like especially when a lot of the content in manga is, you know, derived from a Japanese person living in a different culture, a different subset. Their ideas and themes being put out there that would be more, you know, relatable to a Japanese person. But yeah, you would definitely hear that, and that's the point of all what I'm saying is like you would definitely hear that if like they can't afford to get good actors anymore because they can't live or sustain themselves through this new business model. You would immediately hear it because you'd basically get like side character voices from like Genshin Impact and like all these other like gacha games. You basically get that everywhere. Or like those like horrible YouTube ads where it's like, ooh, sexy girl, me play now. Come, like, you know, kind of kind of stupid thing like that. But yeah, it would probably get really bad. I don't want to see that 'cause I'm a huge anime fan. If it's worth watching, I've probably watched it. So yeah, that would suck. That would suck, and I do think this would actually like kind of hurt anime really bad if the delivery and everything did not match up to the production level. Especially like they're already having issues with, you know, working conditions, and that's not just in animation. That's in most Japanese industries. They just run people into the ground.
Where the VAs are basically celebrities, and yeah, this invoice system is not looking good for Japanese talent. So with less workers and less studios, even if this does sound okay, the potential purge of the anime industry could lead to bad things. We could see more anime studios hiring people as full-time employees with benefits, or raising wages like what MAPPA is doing. But while this does sound amazing, the reality could be terrible. Many smaller companies just can't afford to do this, or else they go out of business. So not only are we getting less anime being made, we're getting less studios making those anime.
Yep.
Companies like MAPPA already jump on popular IP, which attracts animators like honey. Now, if other smaller studios cannot afford to increase wages, then more people will go to the bigger studios. Eventually, companies like MAPPA will be able to gain a large control of the anime industry, while smaller companies will die out. With less
Now, hear me out though. Now, this could be something even more sinister. This could be a 5-head play to virtually remove their competition and dominate the market because they've already got the popular IPs. They've already got most of the market share. It's almost like a way to JD Rockefeller your competition. Because if they can't even, you know, get in the door with you with this new like invoice system and all these new costs and IT business costs that'll be associated with logging and maintaining all this stuff and all of the HR nightmares that'll be, like, if you're a small company and you can't handle that, you don't have the bandwidth already, you're already running on thin ice. That's a 5-head play. That's like the most evil thing I've ever heard of in my life. I take that back. Not the evilest thing I've ever heard of in my life, but definitely is up there as far as business stuff goes. I would honestly believe that more, that this is not just to make a buck, but to virtually take over the market. I think that's more likely, honestly.
companies involved, we could see less competition, aka less risk-taking and creativity. Just take a look at the American entertainment industry. Dominated by companies like Disney, which is great if you're a fan of bland and repetitive remakes for the purposes of modernization. While I do think that we might need to trim some fat from the anime industry, this tax invoice system is not it. It's a little too much too fast. The slow-moving Japanese industry will not be able to adapt in a healthy way, and the result could be terrible for the future of anime. In an effort to increase taxes, Japanese pop culture has been sidelined. It's strange that Japan doesn't understand the soft power they hold, while other countries all actively support their pop culture, even providing tax incentives directly, such as with...
Well, yeah, I think it's more so one of those things where it's like, you know, in Japan, like, watching anime, I think I've seen, like, interview videos where, like, most people who, like, talk about other people that watch anime over there, it's seen as, like, childish because everyone else is too busy working, you know, but... Again, I think that's a mental illness in itself, that your entire identity or that you have a culture of people that are so brainwashed that their entire identity is around the accomplishments of a corporation that gives them a wage and a pension and nothing else. Like, as a society, for you to be that brainwashed that you don't even recognize when you're just being worked to death or, abused to some degree. I gotta give it to you. The Japanese are really good at psychological warfare if that's the case.
K-pop. If the invoice system continues to affect all freelancers, at the very least,
Wow.
Japan should provide incentives to the anime industry. Otherwise, their top cultural export is in danger. Though I might be a doomer here, I'm optimistic that they'll eventually figure something out. At least in my lifetime, otherwise, GG. Anyways, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and feel free to share the video, cause I know the average anime fan is not watching this.
Hey, you're wrong.
Japan might have just
Well, yeah, that was it, guys. I think that was like way worse than I was thinking, honestly. I was really hoping in some sick way that maybe it was just more like bad workplace environment stuff, because at the end of the day, like, no one in Japan is probably going to ever speak up because it's just a really polite culture, really conform to the status quo kind of culture. So that's something that I think the anime market as a whole will probably bear just fine. But at the same time, like, I don't know, like, that's just so messed up. That's just really messed up, and I would hate to see anime like no longer be to a quality that everyone can appreciate because of, either corporate greed or my hypothesis, which is really that they're probably trying to virtually dominate the market by killing off smaller studios, so that way they will get all of the different IPs that are out there. All of the popular ones. They won't a big IP won't just settle for a smaller studio because it will cost them less money in the long run. They'll just be forced to go to MAPPA or forced to go to one of these larger corporations or whoever. I don't know. I think that's probably the case, but I don't know. It's like obvious, like, and that's when he made a really good point too. That, like, it seems like Japan doesn't know how much of a share they hold as far as like the entertainment industry, at least a soft share, because while anime isn't like super popular, it's a lot more popular than it has been. So I don't know. It's kind of like this weird shooting yourself in the foot and not really knowing your market, not really knowing what's, doing it for you. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought of this video in the comments. Again, if you like this type of stuff, please like and subscribe. I want to get big enough to where I can, like, start streaming to people or, doing other things. So yeah, that'd be a really great help if you don't mind. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this one. Milza out.